Now you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere.
Everywhere.
Can you hear me now? Everywhere. Everywhere.
Yes, right from your Android or iPhone. Download the Radio Cayman app now on your Android or iOS phone.
The Radio Cayman app
is where you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere you go.
Everywhere we go, we go. Everywhere we go, we go.
Find it in the Google Store, the Apple Store, or use the link at www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Yes, now you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks so much for joining us. You know, sometimes you can be naturally excited because you got good people to talk to. Other times you go, you know what, you better be the excitement because it's rainy and gloomy outside. But on a day like today where the sun is shining bright and you got good people to talk to, it's easy to be excited. Hey, join us for this edition of Talk Today.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us. I'm always honored to be able to partner with our civil service and our wonderful civil servants to be able to celebrate not just their diligence and dedication, but our true commitment to service. And as we talk about the National Youth Commission, hopefully we'll extend, the line literally to the back and be able to welcome Ms. Dawson. So that is us calling you, Mom. If you see that missed call, that is us. But with that, perhaps... maybe let's start first and ask, is Linwood Amor?
Yes, Linwood Amor.
No, I try to say it, but it doesn't work. You do it better.
No, that's fine. So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alanis Linwood Amor. I am the Senior Policy Analyst for the Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture, and Heritage. I'm currently acting Deputy Chief Officer, but I'm also one of the representatives for the Ministry of Youth for the National Youth Commission.
And this is where when we see how out of the National Youth Policy, the Youth Commissions come about and the work that they do, maybe it is for us to always be young at heart, but appreciate that the youth, we're not talking about the future, we're talking about now. Mm-hmm. They not only need support and nurturing, but they actually need assistance. We need to draw alongside them. So perhaps through this, we can look at the past and draw from whatever things we did right and do it better, or whatever things we wish we had done a little bit differently. There's no time like the present.
Absolutely, right? Yes.
Okay. Would you do the honors and introduce Ms. Levy?
Yes, so with me today is Ms. Natasha Levy. She is the layperson for the National Youth Commission, and I'm so glad that I'm not by myself today. Ms. Levy is one of the members. She and 7 other members applied through an expression of interest form, and they went through a selection process, and been appointed.
Well, Ms. Natasha, welcome. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
And as we talk about, some of the things that we specifically want to get to, but I'm hoping to maybe ask at some point, that expression of interest. We're seeing increasingly the approach to invite the public. Exactly. We have this commission, we have this entity. Would you be interested? And then we go through That gives us one ownership, but a greater sense of participation. And I want to ask you your interest and why and the like. But any sort of opening thoughts you might want to share?
I think I'm just excited for us to be in this place. I think the idea of the commission has been around for a long time, but not necessarily active, despite perhaps best intent in the past. So to be in a position where we're going to launch into something is material progress, and I'm excited to be a part of that going forward.
All right. And I think we have Ms. Dawson online. Okay. See, technology works. You pay your bill. No, just kidding. All right. So join us from the back. Mr. Tasha Dawson. Welcome, Mom. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right. Thank you. We are blessed. I mean, this studio is almost as good as being under the grape tree in Bacchus. Almost. Or better yet, on the foothills of the bluff somewhere. But thank you for joining us for this next few minutes. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I tell you, man, I look in the mirror and I see someone who's blessed. I open my hands and my heart and I see someone who has much to offer. But more importantly, I look around the community and see great support. So we live in a beautiful time, despite all that may be around us. So it's a blessing.
I'm happy to hear that.
Amen. Any initial thoughts you want to share with us as we get into our discussion, in terms of what you're looking forward to as a part of the National Youth Commission, especially from the Sister Islands perspective?
I'm really thankful to be a part of this wonderful opportunity. I feel like often people on the Sister Islands feel forgotten, so I'm happy to be their voice, and I'm hoping I could help make a difference.
Now, Ms. Alanis, with that, perhaps we could start by giving a brief overview, introduction of the National Youth Commission. It's relatively new, but its work has been great. We've seen, you share with us.
No, of course. So there was a commission previously. They were disbanded around 2019. But once the government's changed and stuff, and we were able to have the Ministry of Youth, we found it priority to have this commission up and running. So we asked Cabinet for approval to, I guess, recommission the commission. That's a mouthful. In May this year, and 2 months after, we have the full composition. So the commission comprises of a voluntary group of 13 members. We have a psychologist, an attorney at law, a medical doctor, 3 youth representatives, including one from Sister Islands, which is Ms. Dawson, a layperson, Ms. Natasha, a rep from the finance community, from National Drug Council, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Social Development, and the Youth Services Unit, and also Ministry of Youth. So that's 13. It's a mouthful, but all bright-minded Caymanian individuals who are willing and able to dedicate their time for young people.
And the idea, as you referenced, the sort of composition in terms of, for want of a better word, the professions that are represented.
Yeah.
Not only do they sort of represent the interests of young Caymanians getting involved in those professions, but through their expertise, they may be able to bring an insight as to what to consider. But the layperson perspective, sometimes that word in and of itself gets not the respect. He's a lay pastor as opposed to whichever. This is just a lay person. And to me, that is indicative of the representation of civil society. So no pressure on Ms. Lee. I commend you for taking the initiative and saying, you know what, I wouldn't mind being considered for this, and I'm going to apply in this capacity.
I think it's just a title. And I think we spend too much time worrying about titles and having chiefs and no Indians. So I purposely chose to apply for the layperson opportunity as opposed to any of the others, which I did qualify under another category. But I'm not really interested in carrying a title. I just want to put my head down and work. So if we can come together with a plan and a policy and initiatives, I'm excited to partner with, the community, our youth, existing businesses, etc., in order to do something great, because I think there is a void and we have an opportunity to fill it, irrespective of what the title may or may not be.
I love that. Let's take the first quick break, and Ms. Dawson will bring you into the conversation. You are not out of sight nor out of mind, but when we come back, let's first ask Ms. Alanis the key functions of the commission, and then come to you, Ms. Dawson, to ask about more of how the back, so that it isn't a case out of sight, out of mind. You're far away, you feel forgotten. So we'll do that after the break. So please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Busy, busy, busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences. From food to construction materials to office supplies, chances are a truck brought it to you. Superior Auto honors the value that the trucking community brings to these islands. Reliable, quality-trained technicians who value your time and aim to get your trucks back in service so you can be continued to be of service to your customers. Specializing in complete Isuzu, Hino, and other models of delivery box trucks and its repairs, including computer diagnostics, mechanical, and body repair. Superior Auto, 525-9571 or 949-9570. Keep on trucking with Superior Auto. The 8:12 a.m. weather report, Monday through Friday, is proudly sponsored by CG Britke. Insurance, health, pensions, life, where people come first. Your Radio Cayman 6 p.m. news, Monday through Friday, is brought to you by Logic. Your life connected.
Your Yesteryear Musical, Saturday evenings at 8 o'clock on Breeze Radio. Entertaining, enlightening, and inspirational. Topical with CI cultural and heritage flashbacks. And the wonderful music of yesteryear. From the Thomas Edison era to the recent past. Your Yesteryear Musical, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on Breeze Radio. 105.3 FM in Grand Cayman. And 91.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us as we talk about the National Youth Commission. This discussion will only go until 1 p.m. and then after that, continue with the, under the auspices of the Minister of Youth. We're going to have a chance to talk about another wonderful initiative, and we have the Chief Officer join us with a number of the interns. But as we talk to, Mr. Lannes and Ms. Levin and on the back, Ms. Dawson, we were asking about the composition and the functions and the stuff. So you shared with us the composition. What is the functions of the National Youth Commission?
So I guess it's best to start off with one of the ministry's priorities. So the ministry has 3 priorities that fall under its remit. But in terms of youth, we want to enhance and empower our youth. So the National Youth Commission aims to harness and develop the full potential of Caymanian youth and identify the concerns and needs of our young people. And also we want to build them as partners in terms of nation building. So we find that throughout the world, they struggle when it comes to political participation, when it comes to voicing their concerns with regards to climate change and environment. So the commission really focuses on empowering them and developing them as members of society and to speak up on issues that affect them, but also be that, let's say, bridge from between the civil society and government. Well, not only government, but also private as well. Right.
And I think as you see that there is the elected appointed arm of governance, and then there is us, the civil sort of aspect that we need to take up the mantle and we need to get involved. With that, let's go over to the BRAC. And Ms. Dawson, from your perspective, the BRAC is Cayman, but sometimes as a country, the BRAC may feel, wow, we're getting the scraps. I don't think you are, but, I don't live there, right? So how do we make sure that your voice on the BRAC is heard and we can participate?
I would say things like this, like including them into the conversation, including us into the conversation. It's really a pleasure for me to be able to come on here today and talk and remind people that we are here. We want to be a part of the conversation. We want to be a part of the change.
And that wanting to be a part of that conversation, that change, helping, in my words, to set the agenda, to inform public opinion. Were there any particular things, if I can respectfully ask publicly, that may have prompted you, may have sort of had that yearn within you to answer that call to, you know what, I'm going to step up and I'm going to see if I can be that voice?
Personally, as soon as I saw the post, I started to brainstorm the ways in which having a youth representative could benefit the youth of the Sister Islands. I decided to apply because I have always had a passion for giving back to my community, and it is a pleasure to be a part of something that will positively impact the youth of my island. And I'm happy to be their voice, and I hope I can reach out to them and they're willing to come forward and tell me ways in which they think I can be their voice. What can I say that will help them? So that's what prompted me, just my passion for wanting to give back to the youth and the need for it in the Sister Islands. Like, I see so much people who, if they had the resources, they could have went so much further, and the youth often feel like they're not being heard, that their opinion doesn't matter. So that's what really prompted me, the need for it and my passion for giving back.
And I commend you for that. I hope that we, will not, as one English professor in education talked about, we seem to beat the creativity out of our children as they go from grade to grade to grade.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, man,
Yeah, they're so much more aware and they're like up to the time. So when it comes to technology, and even like I have a little sister and she's 13 and she loves talking about politics and what's happening in the Middle East and stuff. And I'm like, when I was 13, I wasn't focusing on that. So it's really great to see that our young people are now more empowered and involved in such issues. They're
empowered, they're involved, they're informed, and they're willing to engage and be active.
Yes.
And I'm glad you said that, because perhaps when I was 13, those of us who were like that or wanted to be like that or were being nurtured either in home or school may have been the exception. It may have been looked at in a different, less than most positive of ways, except within that circle. But that seems to be the norm today for our young people.
It is.
You want an opinion, you ask them. Give them a voice and an assurance that they can sort of exercise that. Ms. Levy, for you though, you alluded to it, but I would imagine likewise, that passion is in you as well. But anything particularly made you want to do as you are now?
I think it's very easy for us to complain and talk about what's missing and what the gaps are, but we don't, to your point, pick up the mantle. And I've lived a little bit of life, and I can see the difference between my youth and, parents' youth conversations and that sort of thing, and where we are today. I have nieces and nephews, and I want them to have access to opportunities. And I think oftentimes it's those that perhaps come from broken homes or aren't as financially fortunate, etc., that don't even recognize there's an opportunity to be had. So if we, by combining our past experience, our current skills, and we ourselves learn from our youth and listen, we can create opportunities for what I kind of term the silent majority. All of those that are just kind of coasting through life, that we haven't found a way to trigger their passion about anything. And if we are able to do that for even a few, I think we would have accomplished, and I would be pretty satisfied with my contribution to the Commission.
And I think that's where, as I listen to all three of you, perhaps it's important for us as the parents, the educator, but even that individual that is maybe north of 40 or 50, to understand that we need to connect to them. It isn't enough that we say there's a generational gap. What are we doing to include them? And hopefully through this we can see that they're not only being affected tomorrow or 50 years from now, they've been affected today, Mr. Honest.
Exactly. And actually you touched on a really great point. On Friday, this past Friday, it was International Youth Day, and the theme was intergenerational solidarity. And basically it speaks more about ageism with young people. When you think of ageism, it's morely towards older persons, but young persons are seeing that they just have barriers when it comes to even healthcare and throughout the world, healthcare, political participation, like I mentioned, when it comes to issues with social justice. So the UN says that in order to meet our 17 Sustainable Development Goals, we need to work together as a nation. So older persons need to work with the young people. Young people need to work with our older persons. Young people need to work with those in the public sector and the private sector, we need to work together.
That's the key.
And that is the key. So it's amazing how this year's theme is that, and the National Youth Commission comes into place. I think it just worked out really well.
But to say even the enemy can quote scripture, so I'm not trying to do that. So I got labeled. But the scripture is also about, don't let them despise you because of your youth. And many times we will say, boy, that's a bright young person and all the great things, but you're not ready yet. You don't have life experiences. But let's draw alongside. Let's help them to get that. Let's nurture them so that
let's develop them.
Yeah. Many of us as young people, it's okay if I include myself in that, right?
Of course.
Because I'm younger than my parents.
That's right.
See, there you go. Perspective, right?
Exactly.
We're ambitious, we're driven, we're motivated, we understand that we're going to be affected by all that happens, good or bad. So as the older, how do we step to the younger and make sure that there's a level of provision and protection, there's a voice, there's a guidance, there's a nurturing, there's an opportunity to make a mistake, but there's also an opportunity to succeed, to achieve.
And that's really a good point. And I think it's really worth mentioning that, especially when it comes to policies and legislation, we tend to not include those persons that are heavily affected, and young people are affected in all policies and all legislations. So having them at the forefront, or having their voices heard, having actual proper stakeholder engagement where you go out to the schools and in their community groups for the football camps, hear them out. This legislation is coming up. I don't think you know about this bill. It's going to Parliament soon. What do you think?
Yes.
I don't think we do that. And I think the National Youth Commission does have a lot of work ahead of them. But they're definitely going to play a key role on that.
I may say something, and hopefully you say, but that's too political, or it's not, whichever, right? So, but I'll take responsibility for my actions.
Okay.
With that in mind, Ms. Dawson, let me then ask, we look at the Camelback community, and from a geographical perspective, we understand it. From a population size, we understand it. Then there's a social perception, especially relative to young Caymanians. And picking up on what Mr. Lannis shared, can I, if you so choose, and I'll ask the same of Ms. Levy, just generally speaking, give what you think is the public's perception about our young people. And I'll start by saying that sadly, I think we're very disparaging. We look at the district, we go within certain sections of the district, and we make comments that are not complimentary. And as a result, perhaps we speak it into being and cause young people to live up to that expectation, as low as it is. Is that, if it's okay to ask you, a similar perception that may exist on the BRAC when it comes to young people? Sorry, were you able to hear us, Ms. Dawson?
Yes, sir. Sorry. I feel like that often happens here as well. People are labeled, and that's why they don't feel like for opportunities like this, they see it and they feel like I can make a difference, but they don't want to put themselves out there because they feel as though people have this perception of them, and it wouldn't make sense for them to do something like that. And a lot of it happens a lot here. People feel like they can't be certain things because they're from here, and the way people talk about them, they don't feel like they're good enough. And so people say like little remarks, little comments, and they think, oh, that's okay, it's normal, it'll wash off their back. But it actually goes a long way, and it's very discouraging for a lot of people, because when you hear it enough, you begin to believe it.
And I'm glad you share that, because as you shared, I'm thinking of something that may apply more to relationships between two individuals. But I think it could, my view, could apply societal. If your presence isn't valued, then your absence won't be missed. And when you think of it, if the young child is saying, well, you don't need me, they may, quote unquote, check out. And sadly for us, they may leave Cayman, so we don't have that potential contribution. But what if they do other things by checking out? And then we've now missed not just that contribution, but we've done a great disservice to that young person. And I'm fearful that is what happened. Ms. Deep?
I think that we forget that we were once young. Just because back in my day we didn't have to worry about iPhone videos popping up on Instagram and Facebook and all of that, doesn't mean that we all haven't had missteps along the way, right? Some a little bit more public than others. And because we have forgotten that we were young, I think we can be unforgiving. I think if someone makes a mistake, they should bear the consequence, but you can do that from a constructive place, and we lose that constructive element. So then we create labels and we polarize our kids, good versus bad, public versus private, me versus you, financial wealth against less fortunate, which then creates this bigger challenge that we face, because a lot of who we are stems from our family, our values, if we're grounded and if we're supported in that place. And because we're seeing that the families are often either less traditional or in some cases non-existent, the idea that our youth are perhaps making some unfortunate choices comes to bear more often, but we aren't giving them the safe space to do it, nor are we providing the constructive feedback that allows the quote-unquote ordinary child to maximize their potential. And I think the other bit would be the recognition of the way I maximize my potential may be very different from someone else. It does not mean that we are not all worthy, that we're not all valid, not that we all matter. But if you don't hear that from a place that you can trust, which is usually from the home and a parent, then we end up in this place where we have all of these behaviors that we now attribute to a child, which is oftentimes a replica of what they've witnessed themselves. So the labels attach and they carry burdens that aren't necessarily theirs to bear in its entirety. So I would hope that some of the programs that the Commission rolls out will allow us to begin the process of attacking those challenges that present, which obviously will take perhaps even more than this term. Right. But you have to start somewhere.
And it's ongoing. Right? We have to take the break, right, I believe. Sometimes, pay attention. But as I go into the break, many of us don't like labels, but we use them anyway. And you shared with great respect, broken homes, a phrase that we know. We always talk about at risk. On a personal level, just me, I think all of our homes are broken, so to speak. All of our children are at risk. And maybe if we recognize that, then we can move beyond the notion, but let's provide a service just for them.
Yeah.
If them means all of them, great. If them means them that don't have this or have that, divisions. So when we come back, then could we ask about, as what Ms. Levy was just sharing, what are some of the programs, if you can, that you may be thinking of? Maybe just a brainstorm, there may be things you're committed to, and then if they're anything specific for either particular districts or even, in our case, our sister islands. Could we ask about that? All right, we're going to pause and take that break. When we come back, see what we can do if we work together. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Subway is giving you flavor around the clock with the new Chicken Squad sandwich options. Try the classic chicken and bacon ranch, the sweet and savory barbecue chicken, or the chicken cordon bleu. 3 new appetizing and delicious sub options that you can also make into a wrap. The Chicken Squad is available at Subway for only a limited time. Subway, giving you something to cluck about.
The Cayman Islands Health Services Authority's general practice and public health clinics have relocated to Smith Road Medical Center. At the new location, you'll receive top quality care in a comfortable, modern space, enhancing your patient experience. Do you have flu-like symptoms or other non-emergent illnesses or injury? HSA's new urgent care walk-in clinic is now open at the main hospital campus. The new general practice location is for appointments only. For more information, call 949-8600 or visit hsa.ky.
60 and bossy with J and money. When I trip it easy, trust me. Yeah. Come on, just send some money. I instant entry. Look how you're lucky. Bossy, J and money, bossy. J and money, send you go a yard. Teen, bossy. Jamaica well bossy. 60 and bossy. We well proudy.
Celebrate Jamaica 60 with J and money for a chance to win a dream vacation for 2 to Jamaica, including airfare, resort stay, and more. Send money for a chance to win. Your loved ones will also be entered for a chance to win a brand new car. Competition runs from now until December 24th. J and money 60 and bossy enough.
Call 345-945-2014 for details. Available at J and Money locations across the Cayman Islands.
Bossy, Jamaica well bossy. 60 and bossy.
No J and bank account required.
We think it's time you crossed over to a new vehicle. And with the Toyota Corolla Cross now at Vant Motors, you have plenty of reasons to make the switch. The crossover body and hybrid engine is a sleek design in a sturdy structure with a spacious interior that opens to extensive cargo space. Stuck in traffic? The high-performance self-charging hybrid system automatically switches between gas and electric vehicle mode, helping you lower both fuel costs and carbon emissions. The Corolla Cross has full LED lighting inside and out, an integrated display audio system with energy monitor, and a dual-zone climate control system to ensure comfort for all. Test drive the new Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid today at Vant Motors, Walkers Road.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
The Workforce Opportunities and Residence Cayman, otherwise known as WORK, has their customer care team at the Cayman Brac office today until August 19th to assist customers in using WORK online services, including Jobs Cayman registration and portal payments. Applications may now be uploaded at the time of payment. This new feature offers better efficiency and a more concise way of submitting and paying for applications. Contact WORK Cayman Brac Customer Care at 244-4416 for more information on the training opportunities in Cayman Brac. Email work@gov.ky, that's WORC@gov.ky, or visit www.worc.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon, welcome back. And as we take the time to talk about the National Youth Commission, joining us on the phone from the BRAC is one of the youth representatives for the Sister Islands, Mr. Shell Dawson, in the studio, the Minister of Youth, Sports, Culture and Heritage. Ms. Alanis, thank you very much. Well, doesn't sound good, Ms. Levy? Alanis Linwood Amor. No, like, don't do that, man. You're a West Bay, not a Cuban.
That's okay.
That's good. No, but I want that laughter, that love, and that joy that we have in our hearts to radiate, so that it'll bring people along and understand that we're in this journey together. And there is not one single person in this country, parent in particular, that do not want the very best for our children. Mm-hmm. Not for it to be easy, but hopefully manageable. For them to feel loved, nurtured, and supported. It's nothing like being on your own,
Yeah.
And I say that recognizing that sometimes we cause that because of our missteps. So, Miss Levy, can I start with you?
Sure.
Would that be fine? Only because, we got less than, 7 minutes or so in our discussion.
Okay.
Here we are as a community, and I'll go to, Ms. Dawson afterwards and then come back to Ms. Alanis. We are the public, right? The parents of the youth who are getting involved, their siblings and the like, the employers, the wider private sector. What would you like us, if it's okay to ask you, what can we do to draw alongside, to help the peer-to-peer, to provide the support, to be helping hands so that we can make this thing where the youth not only feel that they are part of the agenda, they set the agenda. They not only have a voice, but their voice is resonating in the spaces that make a positive difference.
I think the first thing the wider community can do is to create a safe space for their own children or the children's in their lives. Oftentimes there are national, global issues that come up that you can discuss around the table over dinner. Get your kid informed. The more informed your child is, the more confident they will be to voice their opinion even when they're not asked. Mm-hmm. And that's important for sense of self. That's an important characteristic to use appropriately when they become an adult. But if you create that safe space at home or in an environment where they can share and discuss, then you've done 3/4 of the work. Because when we throw out the programs or we look for your suggestions, you're going to have more of them than we know what to do with, which would be an excellent place to be, where we have, program ideas and policy suggestions that are coming in, like a waterfall, and we have to pick the best of the best. That would be an ideal state for us. But in order for us to have access to that information readily, easily, and consistently, you have to engage with your own kids. And then by extension, the Commission ourselves, we have to not only engage with the kids currently in our lives, but to be open to engaging to the kids that we don't know. Because oftentimes we think we know what a kid is thinking, because our personal child behaves in a particular way, when in reality, that's specific to my child, my environment, my circumstances. So we project that positively or negatively on the wider community. And we have to pose our questions in an open way that we get the feedback that is across the demographic, right? Because youth is from 10 to 25, and that's a huge segment. We have an opportunity to impact them young and transition them into adulthood if we do it well. And I think part of that means that we have to talk less, listen a little bit more, and create pathways for them to put their hand up and say their piece.
Be active listeners and be listen, as I've continued trying to remind myself, listen to understand, not to respond. So as we go to Ms. Dawson, let me just ask this so that she'll answer as well in her, her segue. In the households where we have two partners, do they have to be on the same page relative to the outcome? Because sometimes we see one child will say to parent A, can I do this? What about this? And there's an agreement or disagreement. Then they go to parent B, or whatever the terminology is these days, the other family unit, and there's a discord. So do both parents need to come together and say, listen, we're doing this for the child?
I think, in my opinion, that is the ideal outcome, right? That the family unit comes together to move forward. But I think the reality is every person in the family unit is an individual, which means they have their own set of ideas and thoughts and plans and processes. I think if the unit, regardless of how it's comprised, focuses on what is best for the child, it will present over time and the child will find a voice. And in those circumstances where that unit does not exist, that's where some of our programs should hope to plug that gap, either via the schools or via the churches or via the sporting activities or cultural events. Kids can get identity from a lot of places. Although it perhaps arguably should come from home, that's not the only place they get their identity. And even if it was the only place, that's not to suggest it's necessarily the best, right? We live in a global world. We want a little bit of a lot of things with supportive and responsible adults to kind of nurture and cushion and guide us through. So I don't think they have to be on the same page.
Okay.
I think it would be helpful if they were.
Ms. Dawson, as you heard Ms. Levy share, your thoughts in response to that?
I agree that it's helpful when the parents are on the same page. Like, speaking from experience, I'm just 16, so obviously I don't have the adult perspective on it. But I think it helps create that structure. But I don't feel like it should be like no because this parent said no. I feel like the child should be involved in that discussion, explain why it is no and why there's a disagreement between the parties, because when you have two different opinions, you're like, okay, well, this is the nice parent, so I'm going to go to that parent all the time, but that's not always good because in situations where you said, oh, maybe I should have went to the other parent, but if you just tell them no, they don't want to have any conversation with you, they don't want to speak to you. So if there's a conversation, the child will be more comfortable and they'll learn how to use their voice their opinions, why they want to do certain things.
So from the perspective of the Cayman Black community in particular, what would you, if I can ask you, want from the Cayman Black community, the business and the individual, to do in order to partner to make sure that we have these successful outcomes?
I feel like we need to work on removing the old age opinion that children are to be seen, not heard, at least speak when spoken to. Because it makes the person feel very small. Just because you're a certain age does not mean you have no idea what you're talking about. Because as Ms. Alana spoke about earlier, we're in a different age. We are very informed. We want to have the conversation. So just give us the opportunity to be a part of it. Amen. Don't have the mindset that you're young, you're just this age, you could never understand. Just hear us out.
I'm glad you say that, and for what it's worth, I guess legally I'm considered an adult. I'm still getting there. The young people may not understand it. Trust me, many adults don't even have a clue either, and I don't say that lightly. We're figuring this out as we go. As we close out the discussion, Ms. Alanis, if it's appropriate, share with us some of what they said, but also, how we can come together, maybe some of the things that we're hoping to achieve. I'll leave it to you, Mom.
Right. So just to piggyback on what Ms. Levy and Ms. Dawson said, it really is important that we come together. And I think one other way that we can listen to our young people is also having youth-to-youth empowerment. So the older young people. So like, let's say those who are 18 to 25. Those young people can then teach and mentor those that are kind of, struggling or don't know how to speak on issues. So I think to have that youth-to-youth partnership is really key. Mm-hmm. And I know that there's many organizations out there, like National Drug Council, that does stuff on like this. So I think that's something for the National Youth Commission to probably embark on as well, mm-hmm. how to empower our older young people. I know, I think I need to find a term, but to work together. And on that note, I also want to mention that the commission has many functions, so probably like 8+.
Follow Radio Cayman.
And then what we also want to do is, as a commission, is initiate a national policy. And with that, there's going to be a lot of stakeholder involvement. So this is also the call out to the community listening today, that when the government and the commission is ready to initiate those stakeholder engagement, those community outreach, town hall meetings, please do listen and participate, because it'll be very, very important to have everyone's opinion.
Well, we can either be a part of the problem, we can be contributing to the solutions.
Exactly.
And here's a chance to, heads up your action and your efforts are needed. Thank you both for coming in the studio. Ms. Dawson, thank you for taking time to join us on. Hopefully we can appreciate the value of continued safety, security, stability, and prosperity, not just economic, but more important, our social, by our continued partnership, investment, love, and nurturing support for our youth. So have a wonderful afternoon. Looking forward to having you guys back in at some point.
Thank you. All right. Thank you so much.
We're going to pause and take the break, and when you come back, you may see a theme as we continue focusing on the Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture, and Heritage. And, as the Chief Officer joins us, perhaps you'll see what we are, because we have such great promise and potential. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Follow Radio Cayman on Twitter. All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Follow us at twitter.com/Radio Cayman.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The Royal Cayman Islands Police Service says the northbound lane of West Bay Road between the 7-mile public beach roundabout and Lime Tree Bay Avenue, which was partially closed to facilitate construction work, will fully reopen to vehicular traffic on Friday. In international news, a spate of explosions and fires has turned Russian-occupied Crimea from a secure rear base into a new battleground in the war, demonstrating both the Russians' vulnerability and the Ukrainians' capacity to strike deep behind enemy lines. 9 Russian warplanes were reported destroyed at an air base in Crimea last week, and an ammunition depot on the peninsula blew up on Tuesday. Ukrainian authorities have stopped short of publicly claiming responsibility, preferring to keep the word guessing, but President Vladimir Zelensky alluded to Ukrainian attacks behind enemy lines after the latest blasts, which Russia blamed on sabotage. Rudy Giuliani faced a special grand jury Wednesday under a judge's order to appear before the panel investigating attempts by former U.S. President Donald Trump and others to overturn his 2020 election defeat in Georgia. It's unclear how much the former New York mayor and attorney for Trump will be willing to say now that his lawyers have been informed he's a target of the investigation. Questioning will take place behind closed doors because the special grand jury proceedings are secret. Inflation in the United Kingdom hit a new 40-year high last month, rising above 10% for the first time since 1982 and piling further pain on households already struggling to pay their bills. Annual consumer price inflation hit 10.1% in July, according to data published by the Office for National Statistics on Wednesday, up from 9.4% in June. Soaring food prices, up 12.7% since July 2021, were the largest single contributor to the acceleration in inflation, the ONS said. Those are your latest headlines. I'm Shanda Gallego.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
You see how hard it's raining?
Yeah, and I don't have time to fight traffic and get my lunch from Subway. I have so much work to do.
Why don't you order Subway by using the Let's Eat or Bento app? Save time, stay dry, and get your sandwich fast.
I never thought of that. Great idea. I'm going to order now.
Order me a veggie pizza while you're at it.
And a cookie platter for the office.
Too busy at work or home? Is the rainy weather stopping you from dining out? Order your favorite Subway sandwich, wrap, or pizza through the Let's Eat or Bento app with fast and reliable delivery. Subway, eat fresh.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Did you know that ValueMed Pharmacy has a free online prescription service? Managing your health and medical requirements has never been easier with ValueMed. Simply visit value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com and click the Refill Prescriptions tab on our website. Fill in the information for new prescriptions or refills and choose your preferred pickup location. ValueMed on Walkers Road or Town. Then bring in your original prescription from your doctor when picking up. There's no need to stand in line and wait for your prescription. Save time and pick up prescriptions at your convenience by visiting value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com.
I love this bar.
Come on up this Friday night, August 19th, to South Coast Bar and Grill in Breakers for the 4th annual Cayman Night. Live entertainment will be by a host of local musicians, including Rexy and the Impulse Band. You don't want to miss this exciting fete, playing soca, calypso, merengue, country, soul, and reggae music live with a host of local musicians, including Rexy and the Impulse Band and DJ Archie from Unit Force Disco. Admission is by donations at the door. Music starts 8 p.m. until 2 a.m. this Friday, August 19th at South Coast Bar and Grill. Proceeds will be donated to all primary schools to assist with the purchase of musical instruments.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks very much for joining us. And it's a true pleasure, especially during the summers when we have much to say, but we're truly recognizing that our young people are not just out and about, they're actively engaged, and there's much that we can do through employment and internship, through engagement in social activities, and through positioning them so that they understand that they're truly loved and valued. As we welcome the Chief Officer, Mr. Sechenike, there are many of us who can harken back to having a little weekend job, a little summer job. That sense of independence, that sense of responsibility. I say it this way, you tell me if it's correct. Feeling big. You feel like you're somebody, you got a little $2 in your pocket. Now it may be $2,000, which was probably what $2 was when we were younger. Well, me, not you. And then that inculcates in us a sense of responsibility, a stronger work ethic, a greater value, not just for what you have, but for what you can contribute. So as we go through this discussion, Mom, welcome and set the stage for us.
Thank you very much. Always a pleasure to be on Radio Cayman with you and to be able to share information with the listening audience in regards to what the ministry is doing. And this is an exciting time for us because we have this year so many summer interns. And if my mind could wander back, several years ago, many years ago.
Yes, it did. It wasn't that long ago.
I sat in this seat, Dwayne, and my experience was absolutely amazing as a summer intern with the Department of Children and Family Services. And I think that gave the foundation for where I am today. It confirmed, and I think this was one of the greatest things for me, it confirmed that my career choice was the right one, that I was headed in the right direction. So from the time I walked through the door as that intern and I got that exposure and that experience, I knew, yes, this was where I wanted to be. And so more so than anything else, just the confirmation that we're headed in the right direction as a summer intern makes the world of a difference. And for us as the Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture and Heritage to be able to offer that same experience to our interns today is something that we are truly proud of. It is very, very nicely, the summer intern program is very nicely tying in and aligning itself with Minister Bernie Bush key priorities for our ministry. The first priority that Mr. Bush established was talent identification and development. And again, this program surely supports that key priority. And of course, the second priority for Minister is enhancement and empowering our young people. And again, this program, once again, surely supports that. And our third priority for the ministry is the awareness and preservation of culture and heritage, and just their presence of being with the ministry and being in the entities also supports the priorities. So this program highlights and supports and aligns itself with Minister's priority and the direction that our ministry want to go in. So we're truly excited, and we're truly, truly blessed and honored to have young people that is interested in these subject areas and willing to come and work with us during the summer. Now, I don't want to talk the whole time. I am so excited that they're able to share a bit about their experience with the summer program, but also I want them to be able to share with the listening audience just who they are and what they're studying, and what year they are in university, and all the good things that they must be excited as well to share with us. So without delaying the process in any further, I happily turn things over to you, Sterling, so that you can ask the interns some further questions. But just very quickly before I do that, what I want to say is that although you're seeing a handful of persons here with us, we had in total 18 persons with us doing summer internship, and that was a combination of persons directly in core ministry with our departments, as well as the SAGCs. So the second group of interns that will be coming in once we break will be persons that are at the SAGCs.
All right. And this is where I think that we have, and thank you very much. I mean, 18, if we get to talk to 8, almost 50%. Yeah, good government accounting. I would have delegated, but I'll ask, instead of leading, let me just invite, who would like to start first? Who feels comfortable in jumping right in?
I guess I'll go. My name is Aaliyah Reed. I'm 19 years old, and currently I am studying arts management in the University of Goldsmiths of London. And this summer, I am working with the Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture, and Heritage in the core ministry.
All right. Cool.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ashley Gooden. I'm currently also in the UK pursuing a degree in primary education. I'm going into my final year now, and upon completion, I hope to return home to become a primary school teacher. I'm also interning with the Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture, and Heritage, but I am placed at one of the departments, so I've been working with the Youth Services Unit.
Hello, my name is Jada Evans. I'm also studying in the UK. I am studying International Hospitality Management at the University of West London, and I have been placed for summer in the core ministry.
Hello, my name is Jenny Whitaker. I just completed my bachelor's in the arts in anthropology and cultural studies at the University of Sussex in England, and I have been working with the core ministry of youth, sports, culture, and heritage.
And seeing where you're studying and seeing what you're studying, I want to ask more about the selection of the UK versus any other place. Were there any particular reasons that you went there as opposed to elsewhere? Ms. Whitaker, let's start with you first.
Okay, so originally I had wanted to go to Canada, and with my choice to go to the UK, the University of Sussex at the time I applied My degree was under the School of Global Studies, which is currently #1 in the world for development studies. So that narrowed down my choice to go to that school.
Okay, well, I hope that all of you haven't had the same experience as a good friend Jevi said. The food was seasoned with... Okay, I leave it at that. Mr. Leah, from your perspective?
For me, studying arts management, I knew from originally that I really wanted to go to London because how diverse London is, and with arts and culture, it's so rich coming from everywhere. Like myself, I know a lot of people from the Caribbean who has gone over there to study. So I know that was going to be beneficial for me when working in that field of arts and culture, in managing all type of arts form.
Ashley?
I think for me, it came down really to experience and what the school had to offer. Going to the UK meant that I would be able to go to placements, which wasn't exactly offered here at the time. At my school, it's also rated in the top 10 for my course, so we're number 3 on the records, and it allows me to engage in practical work, which I thought was so important, because it's one thing when you know the academic perspective of your course, but it's another thing when you can actually apply that knowledge and get that practical experience. So for me, the UK was the best option in terms of giving me the experience that I needed to be a successful teacher and allowing me to just see different point of views.
So for me, like what Aaliyah mentioned, the diversity of the UK, there's a lot of Caymanians and just people across the whole Caribbean. And also, I knew a lot of family over there as well, too, so I feel like I would have that support and if people I'm familiar with, and I wouldn't feel like I'm too far away from home.
Which is interesting. I mean, it's a direct flight. Okay, it's not the hour to Florida or the 10 minutes to come back. But it's 30 hours, I think. Just kidding.
A bit too long.
Sorry. A bit too long, right, Ms. Good?
Yeah.
And why I ask that is that I look at some of my friends, they're a little bit older, but in the 70s may have went into, or early 80s, to Canada or the UK. And then perhaps the 80s and 90s and the 2000s may have gone to the US. But it seems to be shifting now to looking not just at the Caribbean region, but the UK more specifically. And to see a global perspective. And from what you shared, the idea that, hey, it's not that far away. I have family there.
Yes.
For me, like Ms. Gooden, that's where? What the food like? Little things that you decide. Chief Officer, if it's okay, we have a caller waiting in. Is that okay to take the caller?
Sure thing.
And I hope we have enough. I use the headsets to keep my hair in place so that it doesn't get my eyes.
Yeah, I'm sure that's the reason.
Let's go to the phones and welcome this caller. Hey, good afternoon, welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Dwayne, and to your panel.
Hey, good afternoon, my good friend. How are you?
Good, not bad. Still going. I have a question. Big guest there. Is there anything in place, since you guys are in college and pursuing your degrees, do you all come back to Cayman right after you finish and start working in Cayman?
So at the moment, when we sign our bond contracts, we are required to at some point return home to give back to our Caymanian community if you've received a scholarship.
Does it specify that as soon as you finish, the scholarship will come back to Cayman or what? In a ministry here or something?
Not exactly. You are allowed to defer for a year. However, you are required to at some point return home to give back to the Caymanian community and to help uplift our community.
So my next question, now following that up, is there anything in place for you guys that are away to college to get some sort of practical experience at the same time overseas prior to returning home?
Well, I can only speak for myself in this term, but I've been able to get practical experience. My course allows 6 months where we're doing academic knowledge, and then the last 4 months we're on placement. So for my course, I am getting the practical experience so that when I return home, I have experience in my career field. I'll let the other girls speak in terms of their degree.
Hello, caller. In terms of your question, I have knowledge that with government and civil service, students are able to apply for a summer internship and to apply for a 1-month internship during the Christmas holidays.
Is it in Cayman, your internship?
Is that in Cayman he's asking? Or in Cayman only, or can you do it overseas? I guess the interest is, getting...
The reason I'm asking, I get to what I'm getting at, right? What I'm getting at is I'm proud of our Caymanians going to school and getting further in their education, right? And coming back here and probably choosing to work for a year or whatever the case is and then move on. Okay? What I'm sort of disappointed in, okay, is that we send our children overseas to teach them, to educate them, okay, and to pursue the degrees that they want. I would like to see the government make another initiative to see that these children get some kind of internship while overseas. And the reason I say that, right, is because what they will be exposed to over there is totally different than what they'll be exposed to here. So the wealth of knowledge that they would get from overseas, doing practical experience and then coming home, then nobody has any excuses as to the practical experience to give these kids jobs. That's the problem I have, and that's why I'm asking these questions. So these are something I think that needs to be looked at. If it isn't looked at, it needs to be done right away. Because these kids need to have some kind of practical experience. So when they come here, we don't have the excuse that, yeah, you went away, but you don't have the experience.
Right, and we completely understand, and I think your point is a very valid one. Most of the persons that are studying overseas have the benefit of obtaining their practical experience and obtaining knowledge while they are studying overseas. We're only complementing that by having them, when they return home during the summer or during the Christmas time to visit family, we're complementing that by offering them the experience locally as well. But I think across the board, for most of our students that are overseas, they have the option and they have the opportunity to also get the exposure in the jurisdiction that they are studying as well. And we definitely encourage that. I think, as you indicated, having the experience at an international level only allows for them to be better prepared when they return to the Cayman Islands. They're coming not only with a host of knowledge, but they're bringing their experience as well. So we greatly appreciate your comment. I think it's a very important comment, and as much as possible, we do encourage our students to obtain that exposure in the jurisdiction that they are in.
I would like to say, right, it would benefit the Cayman Islands 100 times more if it was enforced that they got the experience overseas prior to getting it here. Okay? The reason I say that is because it's fine for government to say you come back here and work for a year, but the practical experience over there and give them the leeway to work over there for a year, right, is much better and is much suitable for Cayman with the experience coming back home, right? For them coming in a position here in government, they're saying you have a scholarship, you have to come back and work for government here for a year, right? It'd be much better for government to say work overseas for a year and then come back home. That way the children is already coming back with a wealth of knowledge and experience.
A different perspective, right?
A different perspective.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thanks very much for that. And respectfully, let's leave us there. Let's chat. Let me then ask, because I mean the caller, I think, I don't want to call him old, but at our age, sometimes you get the benefit of, oh, I wish I could have done that. I wish I had taken the opportunity when I had it. If you wish to weigh in, on that, let me know. But let me then ask as well, you've gone through your internship. How does that resonate with you? How does that help you? I know, Ms. Whitaker, you perhaps come to you since you've got your bachelor's, as you shared, right? Maybe from your perspective, what's next for you, and how does that weigh in? And then let's really go on. You've had your internship. What's next? How does that help you with what you're doing, with what you plan to do next?
So what's next for me personally is I am pursuing to continue with my master's. However, I'm looking at the choice of doing my master's online. I found myself in a position where when it comes to being away, I thought about, would it benefit me to be away for another full year, or would it benefit me to come back home and do my education here, simply because of the field I'm looking to study and the experience I wish to apply. Because right now, when it comes to my interests, I have more interest in terms of helping to contribute to bettering various social issues and matters that are embedded in our culture. And with the ministry's value of preserving culture and heritage, that's something I wish to do. So now that I'm home, it's ensuring that I've relayed back to the contacts that I've had, received the proper guidance, and to say this is who I am,
and how you can
what I've obtained, and what I can contribute to.
Ms. Ali, for you, I mean, you've had this internship. How does that affect you? How does that impact you?
For me, the internship has done significantly two things. I've gained skills, and I'll elaborate on that, but as well as I've gotten my foot in the door you know, I've introduced myself with CEOs and chief officers and from every ministry, just to let people know, here I am a young Caymanian, I'm studying this, I would love to come back home, I'm here for summer internship, and just getting to know faces, because you never know who will help you on in the future coming back home. And it's just a skill of getting to know people and build on
networking, bridges.
Yeah, networking, and get to know that you come back to Cayman to work as a team. You're not coming back here alone. You have people that's going to support you in all areas, especially with their studies. You know, as young people, I feel like sometimes people are just thrown in to this industry of work. So, you know, getting familiar with stuff like that and the skill sets that I was talking about, communication and collaboration, I take that over to the UK and let them know that, you know, with Caymankind, we are, again, kind people. I love to collaborate with people over the UK, get to know their side from their culture and how we could make events and programs work better.
Sita?
Well, for me, it helps to sharpen my professional skills. Like I get to network as well. Helps me to assist in me juggling multiple tasks. My communication skills. I would say also exploring. It helps me to explore my career path a little more, because originally I'm studying hospitality management. So being here in this ministry allowed me to realize I also like sports. I also like to get into to work with children as well, because we had the opportunity of visiting one of the camps. So I realized I do like that as well. I say, yeah,
Great.
that's it for me.
Ashley?
I think this thing has done three things for me. It's been a lot of exposure, there's been a lot of networking, and like Ms. Echeniki said, it's allowed me to realize that the career path that I'm going down is exactly what I want to do. So like I said, I've been working with the Youth Services Unit, and our mission is really to empower the youth. So over the summer, we've been working with all of the different camps, and I've been able to know that my voice matters when it comes to youth stuff, because they're very willing to hear what I have to say as a member of the youth. I've also been able to apply my knowledge at university to the camps, which I thought was so essential. And I feel like this ministry has taught me that as long as you are willing to put your best foot forward and you are willing to contribute to our next generation, there's endless opportunities for you.
And as we just had a discussion about, you know, the relaunch, as I put it, of the National Youth Commission, oftentimes we've heard that our youth, they're the future, but we don't seem to involve and invite them in the present.
Yeah.
With respect, do you feel now that not only through the internship or your studies, but with the evolving Cayman society, that the youth are now not just taking on the mantle and wanting to, but are being allowed and invited and accepted and nurtured to be able to do so? Or are we still, as you know, as Ms. Dawson in the back said, living under the mantra where young people be seen, not heard, and sometimes not even seen? Do you think that's shifted?
I definitely think it has shifted. Relating to International Youth Day, I remember reading up on it. This is the first time in history that a workforce has 4 generations in one setting.
Yeah.
So just seeing that, you can see that we are here, we are serious, we are here to grow, because we all come with new experiences, new knowledge, new backgrounds. So I think personally that narrative is shifting. I think there are young people who still feel afraid in not wanting to speak out on matters that they want to speak out on, but then that is our part to encourage our fellow peers on that we are here to support you as well with anything you would like to do.
Is that shift because the young people are being handed the mantle, or is it that they're being, you know what, I got my hand on it, let it go, I'm going to take it, I'm being more assertive? What do you all think?
I mean, I think now that the mantle is there and that we've been given the opportunity to now seek these stuff, it's more where we're willing to put in the work to now do it. And like Aaliyah said, as long as we are aware of what's happening in our community, there's more or less that youth will want to get involved. And especially with the Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture and Heritage, I think that they're so keen on getting youth involved. And whenever any decisions have to happen, they are willing to have youth sit at the table to make those decisions with them. It's not like we're on the back burner.
Okay. And I commend you for being assertive. And I'm prayerful that we as the adults, in particular the parents, will nurture. As we close our discussion, I certainly want to invite you to share what you would. But could you say to the other young people who are either fellow interns, who may be considering even do I go to university or not to university? Wherever they are, what advice would you give them relative to their continued studies, work, careers, and the like? I would say go left to right, but if Ms. Whitaker doesn't want to start first, then Ms. Who wants to start first?
I can go first.
Okay, thanks.
So, ironically, I was asked the same question earlier before we came. And the best advice I can give to our peers is do not worry. Do not focus on what you don't know. Because sometimes when you don't know what to do, that is when you actually know exactly what you need to do. I'm 24 now. I just completed my bachelor's. I'm still yet to figure out my career path and extent, my education going forward. It's if you know exactly what your passion is, you follow that. Because we're now living in a culture that's changing where, with our economic pillars, primary being finance and tourism, if you find that you can't have don't want a career in those pillars, you can define yourself and make a career for yourself. And just focus on the positive and the good and put your best foot forward.
Sweet.
As for me, I think some advice I would give to my fellow peers is, especially as a young Caymanian, be willing to learn. Be willing to, fail, because failure is not always negative. Failure means that you are growing in your life, in your career, in your education, in anything. And be yourself, honestly. I know it's kind of corny to say be yourself, but genuinely, once you're being who you really want to be, you will be the happiest, and therefore people will see that you're happy, and that spreads to, like all of us, that spreads throughout our office and the support that we have there.
Yeah, I mean, that can only be me, right? So be yourself. It's good.
I think for me, I would just say take every opportunity that you get. It doesn't matter if the internship is in the career field that you think you want to go into. Whatever internship you get, take it. Because there is so many skills that you can learn. You can learn how to speak. You can learn collaboration, teamwork. Any internship you go in will be beneficial to the career path that you choose to entail. So take any opportunity that comes to your feet.
Good one.
For me, I would say enjoy everything, enjoy all aspects of everything, make the most of all of your opportunities. I would say if you don't know what career you want to get into, regardless of what you're studying, just explore different options because you can learn from every and anything. Yeah.
It's always a teaching moment. Yes, could be better. I'm always inspired. I always feel that through you, I get to not only experience more, I get to grow, but I also get to see that we have truly a very promising, positive, productive future ahead. Maybe we'll partner. Maybe we'll start to see that we're more like have a wonderful rest of the summer and an excellent, school year. Publicly through the chief officer, here on the studio or personally, if we can help to nurture, to assist, don't hesitate. I'm still young, despite we're in this together. Thank you so much. All right, Chief. As we come out from the break, we'll bring in the next cohort.
Yes.
All right. Join us after the break. Stay tuned.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Breitling watches are defined by quality, innovation, and style, and you have the chance to win one in August during Kirk Freeport's 50th anniversary sweepstakes. Each month, lucky shoppers have the chance to win a piece of jewelry or a watch from luxury brands. Every purchase of $100 at any Kirk Freeport store gains you entry into the monthly drawing, so stop in today. Next up, September's prize is the Chopard Happy Dreams bracelet. View terms and conditions on KirkFreeport.com.
For the record,
for information that matter to you, the people. Hear from the government, the opposition, independents, and other experts on issues and solutions that affect you. For the record. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, tune into 89.9 and 93.9 FM for Cayman's Straight Talk Morning Show. For the record.
I invite you to join me for the record. You are invited to be a part of this interesting and informative show. Embrace the opportunity to dialogue with your legislators, policymakers, and those charged with policy implementation.
For the record. Brought to you by
Coca-Cola. Available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors.
Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. As the community continues to take precautions from COVID-19, it is important to stay prepared for other disasters now that we're in the hurricane season. Here are some post-hurricane safety tips from the Department of Environmental Health. Did you know you must ensure all utensils are washed with detergent and rinsed with hot water if they make contact with flood water? For full guidance on post-hurricane safety tips, visit www.deh.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. And thanks very much for joining us. And thanks to the Chief Officer of Research Nick and the Minister of Youth, Sports, Culture and Heritage for allowing us to, remind us as a parent, as an adult, that we have some wonderful promise and potential within our young people, but also the importance to provide opportunities for them to come into the working world and to remind them why we wish we were still in school. But it's a different thought. The last segment was phenomenal, and I'm excited for this as well. So share with us as we go through. For those who maybe join us, we're talking about the internship program that the Ministry of Youth has sort of put together and allowed the students to be able to experience almost all facets of what the ministry has to offer. You want to say some initial words in the segment, Chief?
Sure, Dwayne. Again, the last segment was absolutely amazing, and we were able to hear from 4 of the interns that were directly linked with the ministry or with the departments that fall under the ministry. We have had an absolutely amazing summer because we have given the opportunity to 18 young people to come with us to enjoy the experience of what we experience every single day. Our job, I think, because of the subject areas, because of the importance of the subject areas, it is always something exciting happening, and there's truly a passion within the ministry and within the staff members. And to be able to extend this to our young people is definitely the benefit of having them with us for the summer. So the last group was with the core ministry and with our departments that fall under the ministry. The group, the 4 young ladies that we have with us now are placed with the SAGCs. So we have some of them that is at the National Gallery, and I think one that is at the Culture Foundation. So I'm going to invite them to share a little bit about who they are, what they're studying, and what their experience have been as it relates to their summer internship at the SAGC. Is I know what I've heard, and it's been absolutely amazing. But I want the listening audience and yourself, Dwayne, to hear directly from them. But just before I hand it over, I just want to go back to one of the comments that the caller made in regards to the exposure overseas. And I can't help but think that throughout my career, and I started off my earlier comments by speaking about me too being an intern, but throughout my career, my learning has never stopped. And that ongoing exposure, whether it's local or whether it's overseas, is something that as a ministry, as the Cayman Islands government, we constantly encourage. So whether our students that are presently studying get the experience overseas during this initial time of their studies, or whether they decide to come back home, and then we support them with constant growth and development, studying, obtaining overseas exposure. That is something that the Cayman Islands government is doing and will continue to do, and that is something that's very important for our ministry. And so whenever possible, whether it's for conferences, whether it's for training, and of course now we get the option of doing some virtual training, even though when we can't be there in physically, but that is something that the ministry has constantly supported and will continue to do. So I just wanted to add that on in response to the comments that the caller had made. Yeah. But I turn it over to you and the 4 interns that are here with us so that the listening audience can hear from them.
Well, thank you very much, Chief Officer. And like you, I think the caller's points were salient. I think the motivation was valiant, and I think that if we, those who are 25 and older, would appreciate a little international experience, helps and goes a long way. So maybe that's something we facilitate. But as we invite our interns to share with us, and as the Chief Officer said, briefly intro yourselves, where you're working, where you study, whatever you feel comfortable. Now, I won't point a finger and say, well, you go first. I'll just invite who feels initially led to be the first one to jump in. Who wants to go first?
Sure, I'll go.
She's like, been nominated. You go first.
Yeah, so my name is Ariana Ebanks, and I'm interning at the National Gallery as a summer intern this summer.
Summer intern?
Yeah.
Summer intern of intern? Okay.
I'm 19 years old, and I just graduated St. Ignatius last year, so I'm on a gap year, and then I'm off to the University of Brighton in September to study illustration.
So now you want to go next?
Hi, I'm Sinea Archer. I have been interning at the Cayman National Cultural Foundation since June. I'm on a gap year as well. I completed my A-levels at Cayman Prep and High School last year, June, and I will be going off to university in September to study archaeology and anthropology at University College London.
Hi, I'm Megan Arch, and I've just graduated with a Fine Art Critical Practice degree, bachelor's degree from the University of Brighton, and I'm this year's annual intern at the National Gallery of the Cayman Islands.
Hi, I'm Emma Stewart, and I'm also interning at the National Gallery just for the summer, and I am studying art history and English lit at the University of Edinburgh, and I'm going into my second year in September. And
I was bragging, I think it's okay to say, the wonderful poetry evening at the gallery last week, and you guys were there, and you were phenomenal in making sure that the event flowed wonderfully. So you're serving your role quite well. Thank you all.
We're glad you enjoyed it.
It was amazing. And this is where I think, as I shared that, Chief, is that it's important for us to appreciate that they're not just young, they're not just ambitious, industrious, enthusiastic, intelligent, but they're contributing. As we get into the discussion, could I ask, the idea of a gap year perhaps came about more recently in the minds of parents today after the former U.S. president, one of his daughters decided, and the media made a big thing about it. But it was always that thing that many people did that was important. You finish high school and intervene in summer, a couple of weeks, and then you're off to university where you're almost on your own and having that year. Some travel, from what I understand of history. Some worked, some took time to apply to find themselves. Only if you wish, and for what it's worth, is for each child, each family to decide that's important for them, and if so, how to do it. But I think it should be encouraged, not that it postpones their education, not that it prevents them from going, not that it would cause them to sort of say, well, I'm not going to go anywhere because I've been working. I think it's crucial. If you wish, Ms. Ebanks, start with you. How do you find that gap year, that 1 year between, I finish high school and I'm going to continue my formal tertiary studies? What was the impetus for that?
So, I really agree with what you were saying. There's always this kind of stigma kind of around a gap year, you know, like you're taking a gap year. So a lot of people kind of assume like, oh, they're never going to go back to, you know, finish their education because they're now too attached to the working world or whatever that they found themselves doing during their gap year. But with me, I found it really enlightening because I think as a 17-year-old graduating from sixth form, like it's a really big decision to pick a career that you'll have to do basically for the rest of your life if you choose not to change it. But it's just it's a really big decision to make at such a young age, and especially me. I was not ready to make that decision yet. I wasn't sure what degree I wanted to study, although I was sure that it was going to be a creative one along, you know, one of the arts. I just wasn't sure specifically what I wanted to do. So I found that during the gap year, it gave me time to really take into account and think about what I wanted to do the research for what universities I wanted to go to. It just really gave me the time to just sit back and, you know, take in everything and really get the time to adjust.
And I'm thank you for answering that. I was saying that more for us as the adult, the teacher and the parent to understand that that's can be instructive, can be very helpful in every capacity. It can actually be very healthy. But when we come back from the break, you know, anyone else wishes to weigh in, Mr. Archer? But I also want to talk about, as the chief always saying, your experiences during your internship. Expound more on it. Invite other prospective students, whether you know they're leaving high school and they're going to enter university, or whether they're in university and they're wondering what they should do in terms of getting work experience, and then share as comfortably and as willingly as you wish to share. We'll pause a quick break and come back. We'll continue our discussion.
Busy, busy, busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Make your house into a home. Welcome to Brand Source Home Gallery, your source for premium products and a premium experience. We'll design and install your dream kitchen with crafted cabinets, complemented with elegant appliances. We'll fill it with quality houseware and cookware. Custom-designed closet and storage solutions organize and beautify any area. And with the finest bedding, you'll get a perfect night's sleep knowing Brand Source Home Gallery has everything you need to make your house a home.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter will be taking appointments from September 1st till September 8th at his Crew Road Clinic. Appointment slots are limited, whether you're seeking advanced skin care, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles. Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email dr.porterkman@gmail.com or call 946-9020 to book your appointments today. That is 946-9020.
Back to school. Education is knowing the best back-to-school specials are at Reflections. Step into savings with up to 50% off selected footwear brands. Buy one pair and get the second pair of back-to-school shoes at 25% off. Save 50% off on all U.S. Polo handbags and backpacks. Ladies, don't miss the amazing daily deals in the clearance section on special selected women's fashions. Keep it classic with Levi jeans in a wide variety of styles and sizes from 28 to 48. And for the freshest gear, check out the new stock of Nike, Puma, Adidas, Johnny Cotton, and more. The best back-to-school savings are at Reflections. Find them on Shedden Road beside the Mango Tree. Open daily from 9 a.m. till after dark.
We'll be the coolest kids in school.
Are you an aspiring journalist or university graduate interested in a career in journalism or broadcasting? Then the Ministry of Tourism and Transport's Shadow a Journalist essay competition is for you. Contest winners will get the chance to shadow international journalists covering the CTO conference and Caribbean Aviation Day at the Ritz-Carlton from the 12th to the 15th of September. Submit your essay by August 21st to enter. For full competition details, log on to gov.ky or email pr.mott@gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And I'm honored to be able to have this partnership with the Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture and Heritage. And thank the Chief Officer, Mr. Sechenike, for allowing us to speak to at least 8 of the 18 interns. And it's good. I won't say that so far all 8 were the better species, but we'll identify that with Teresa. And it makes me not just proud as a person to live in here, but so almost content that as we move into the next decade and the next century, that we have such wonderful people that will contribute significantly. If I could then start the segment, Chief, through you, and asking them, their ambitions, aspirations, what the experience has been like in the internship, what are some of their hopes and expectations, not just following the internship, but following graduation. Ms. Stewart, would it be okay if we start with you first, and then we go around the table? Okay.
My experience at the gallery has been really good. It's a very informative place, and the environment is really encouraging, and the people around you really try their best to help you and show you kind of the ropes of how it works. I think for after graduation, I have 3 years left, but I would hope to come back to the Caribbean, whether that be Cayman or Jamaica. I'm not sure, but I feel like the culture of the Caribbean is something that really draws you back in, especially with how the galleries work here. I think it's really nice.
Interesting. It's hard.
It's drawing on from Emma's point, it's been a really rewarding and illuminating experience. I think the work environment definitely contributed to that because of how it's actually grown quite immensely now, but it's still a very small team, and because of that, everyone's so closely acquainted, and it's very warm and genial, and it doesn't feel like you're just sort of another cog in the machine. You feel very grounded in your position, and you're also very active in the collaboration with, the senior managers and the senior members of staff, and it doesn't feel like you're observing things from the sidelines and just, okay, this is how things are done here, but we don't really have room for error, so you're just going to watch for now. You interact with all those tasks and different things, even if it's challenging. And it is a challenge, but it's a good challenge.
You get to feel it firsthand, That's one of the perhaps good things about Cayman. You get to see things that maybe other larger jurisdictions, even in our neighboring countries, probably don't, because there are so many people to be a part of it. Ms. Archer, from your perspective, your studies are intriguing, and anthropology, I thought, share with us.
Well, I'll start on my internship first. Like Emma and Megan said, working at CNCF has been a great experience, even though they're at the gallery. But very similarly to them, everyone working at CNCF wants to see me succeed. They want to pass on their knowledge. It's a lot of hands-on work, and they want me to be as involved as possible. So it's definitely been a great experience from that perspective. In terms of my future studies, like Ariana said earlier, my decision to take a gap year was motivated because I wanted to do more exploration into my passions and what I genuinely wanted to study in the future. That's how I came across archaeology and anthropology. To paraphrase a quote that I once read, studying archaeology is like having a conversation with the past, and that's always spoken to me ever since I've heard of studying archaeology and all of that. And I definitely think that studying this topic will feed into future work in the Cayman Islands, because it'll give me a good basis in collections management and culture and heritage for when I do come back. And I intend to come back and work in the cultural sector at some point.
I wish you much, and I am glad that we have more and more as we get into Missy Banks. If I may, it's okay to ask if you, I don't care for television that much, but that movie, Night at the Museum, and despite all of it, I still do go to museums, not galleries, because there's something there that comes off the walls. And to see history come into life makes me think that if we could present it more. So from that perspective, anthropology, archaeology, we have this mindset, I think, perhaps shaped by the media. It's in Egypt, it's in South America, where you on sites and you're digging. Well, what do we have here in Cayman? And we do have the archaeological digs. We also have the social anthropology. How do you see that fitting with us as you take up the mantle and apply your interests, but also your academic, how does that make a better informed decision as to who we are as a people and what is necessary to preserve and to promote?
Well, like you said, history is everywhere, and in Cayman I feel that ours is particularly rich because we have quite a lot to offer the world in terms of our thatch plating and the construction of our houses, wattle and daub, and our maritime archaeology, which not a lot of people think about, I suppose, in terms of shipwrecks, like the wreck of the Ten Sail. That is a particularly interesting topic to discuss, and not as many people know about it here, or they have a different view of how important knowing about that is. That, in my opinion, knowing about your history is the way forward for any country, not just a tiny island in the Caribbean.
Something that was interesting, and as you shared, sorry, you want to jump in, Ms. Arch?
Yeah, it was just something that you brought up at the end that I just thought was interesting about being a little island in the Cayman Islands, in the Caribbean, sorry. It's interesting kind of seeing how perceptions are changing, but also not how we need to be careful of that, because with Cayman being considered the islands that time forgot and that sort of thing. I read in a book one time that the quote really resonated with me. It said that this says to foreigners and to other people that this is your place and you can do with it what you will. And I feel like, I won't go too into detail, but I just think that's something that in contemporary society needs to be thought about as we're moving forward.
Thank you for having the courage to share that, because I think we're conscious and that we're hospitable and welcoming, but are we also conscious that sometimes the connotation of our words, someone mimic our actions, and that we are perhaps too accommodating and not willing to step up and preserve and promote, but also protect. The shipwrecks that Mr. Archer referenced. What are we doing as we're excavating certain places in the North Sea and moving those little bits and pieces? It's not just the habitat for the fish; it's the impact on what the society's value. Missy Banks, from your perspective, then, what are your hopes in 10 years from now, 4 years from now, as you going into your masters and the like?
Yeah.
Everybody has to continue further education, PhDs, doctoral levels, thesis, published. That's not a question, okay?
Yeah, so just being at the gallery as well has just really inspired me to go on to just achieve. Like Megan was saying, just being at the gallery, it's such a wonderful experience. I've never worked in a professional environment before, especially in an office or anything. I've always held little part-time jobs, not really pertaining to my career, but working in such a creative environment, it's just been so enlightening. Growing up, you've always the youth are always oh, be seen, not heard, but you're really valued as an employee, no matter your position, summer intern, supervisor, chief curatorial. You're heard, you're listened to, and your ideas are always taken and accounted for, which is just, it's been such a great experience. And yeah, like I said, it's just really inspired me to not only do my bachelor's and just go on to always strive to learn and do a master's, just always wanting to learn and experience new things, especially in my creative field that I'm going into. So
I think that's some great collaboration despite your respective areas, how you can build those bridges, network, and it doesn't matter what field you're in, the fact that you have a connection and a grounding to the country. Chief Officer, I really commend you and the ministry for facilitating our interns, and hopefully it's not just summers, it's not just college students, but it opens doors for many of us as we enter them into the working world. Any closing thoughts from you, Mom?
Just to say that it has indeed been an absolute pleasure to have the interns with us this summer, whether it's been core ministry, the departments, or the SAGCs. I think that we have learned more from them than they have learned from us, and you've heard how they've benefited, so we're left with so much when they go off to school. Having their perspective on various topics and various discussions and whatever projects we are working on truly has been beneficial to us, and we no longer want to find ourselves in a position where we have our young people that is in the background. They must be in the front. We want to be able to hear them. We value all that they bring to the table, and I have encouraged our interns, speak up, put your ideas on the table so that we're in a position where we can take the information into consideration. It might be something that we had not taken into consideration before. We just might not have thought about it. So this entire experience has been amazing, not only for the summer interns, but for us as staff within the ministry. And we look forward to their future growth and their future development, and having them come back and be a part of not only our ministry, but the Cayman Islands community, because they truly have so much to offer. The talent is amazing, and we look forward to how they will help us continue to drive and develop all aspects within our beautiful Cayman Islands.
Well, thank you very much, and thanks to each of you. And may you, not just this next academic year, but your entire career, from schooling to beyond, be a blessed one. And really, really proud of you. Continue to hold your hearts high. Thank you very much. Enjoy your week, and safe flights back when you travel, right?
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you for having us here today.
You're most welcome. Please join us after the news for the closing moments of our program for some open line. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The Health Services Authority, HSA, is advising the public that the pediatric clinic at the Cayman Islands Hospital has now been relocated to the Women's Health Building on the main campus. Patients will register at the new clinic, streamlining the previous registration process. According to HSA officials, the larger space will, quote, afford the clinic to include on-site support services for patients, such as nutrition consultation, speech therapy, and exercise activities. Remember to bring your own face mask, as masks are still required at all HSA locations. In international news, explosions and fires ripped through at least 17 locations in southern Thailand on Wednesday, authorities said, in what appeared to be multiple coordinated attacks that injured 7 people. The bombings and arson attacks happened after midnight and targeted convenience stores and a gas station across 3 provinces, lightly injuring at least 7, according to police and military statements. No one has claimed responsibility for the attacks so far. Meanwhile, a U.S. airstrike in Somalia over the weekend killed 13 members of the Al-Shabaab terror group, U.S. Africa Command said in a statement. The U.S. carried out the strike on Sunday in support of the Somali military, which was under attack near Tidan, Somalia. According to an initial assessment, no civilians were injured or killed in the strike. Last week, the U.S. carried out 3 airstrikes against Al-Shabaab, just west of where the weekend strikes took place. 4 members of Al-Shabaab were killed in those strikes, according to a statement from Africa Command. And writer Will Haygood, author of multiple nonfiction books chronicling the lives of 20th century Black Americans, including The Butler, has won a prestigious book award. The Dayton Literary Peace Prize announced Wednesday that Haygood, himself originally from Columbus, Ohio, will receive Ambassador Richard C. Holbrook Distinguished Achievement Award. Haygood will receive the award later this year. Those are your latest headlines. I'm Shanda Gallego.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
We wanna go and dally. Backyard, Caymanian and Jamaican cuisine. 7 Mile Beach might have changed, but Backyard is bringing it back. True Caribbean food in the heart of 7 Mile, just like Mama's home cooking. Brown stew snapper, Cayman style beef, jerk chicken, turtle stew, and the delicious list goes on. Dine in, take out, or order with the Bento app. Backyard, Caymanian and Jamaican cuisine, 269 West Bay Road, or call 746-4603. Backyard, daily lunch specials, and the one-of-a-kind Fun Day Sunday brunch.
Backyard. Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. And thanks for joining us. And thanks to the wonderful team over at the Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture and Heritage for helping us to shed some wonderful light on the promising prospects of our youth as they were part of the internship. Now, I've donned my glasses so I can make sure I read it. Some of the messages that were sent for our discussions, and as we invite you to be a part of it, it's going to be open line for the remainder of the program. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255, or you can WhatsApp 925-3261 and share your thoughts with us. We've had some excellent contributions, not only from our guests, from those who have called, but many who've been listening and sharing their perspectives, following our discussions. And we want to ensure that the platform is always available. If you have access issues because you dial in and can't get through, let us know in some capacity so we can address it. If you feel that you're precluded because of increasingly many employees have shared that their employers are not particularly, in fact, they have openly admonished the listening of radio, even just music. Does it compromise your freedoms and rights? Does it somehow impose unnecessary impediments into your performance? But we'll talk about that as we go to the phones. Welcome, good afternoon, thanks for calling. All right. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. If you want to share a thought with us, do so. All right. Let's have a look at this WhatsApp that was sent to us earlier. And it is, let's start with it. We're talking about the challenges that sometimes may present themselves to some people inadvertently. Sometimes some people question whether, is it deliberate, consciously being done? And other times, some have said, it wasn't either of those, but when it's now being brought to the fore, is it being acknowledged so it can be addressed and corrected? And often, sadly, any attempt at such discussion for some may lead to a level of discourse that isn't always conducive to a positive outcome. People get inflamed, irate, and other times so incensed that they are only willing to listen to other perspectives. Well, let's share with you. It says, obviously there are different categories of being or becoming Caymanian. So why can't we, the generation of Caymanians, have a tiered system of citizenship as well. Aren't there European countries like Sweden that have a tiered system? And it's calling on perhaps the members of parliament to seek independent legal counsel to address this. I'll read it again and I'll share with you. And the idea was, how do we look at what is happening? I share that in relation to, if you heard the acting premier with two of his ministers in cabinet on Mr. Art's show this morning, talking about issues and questioning, do we need to look at how citizenship or status is granted, and how do we consider the importance of ensuring that, especially, it isn't an inadvertent attempt at discrimination. We know for many employers it's a vexing issue. For many employees, more so. Perhaps it's creating an unnecessary added layer of bureaucracy and making it more cumbersome for the immigration authorities, just use the word generally, to have to process the paperwork in order to identify what is the outcome. I don't think there's anyone who is not suggesting that there needs to be some way to ensure that a country can look at its citizens and say, well, these people, because of possessing this thing, are therefore then, without question, citizens of that country. For many, we believe that to be the passport. We know that for whatever reason, there are passports of different color that are called Kimani passports that may be issued to some that isn't anything more than an identification document. Now, is that something that we have addressed adequately? Is it something that has left many with more questions with respect to what needs to happen to ensure that not only this document that we possess identifies us as a citizen, but also when it comes to being eligible to be an elector / voter, but also those who are on the electoral list, the voters list, that they have been vetted and there isn't any semblance of doubt or hesitancy that that list is nothing but accurate. Maybe that's some of the challenges that we've had because we've been a bit casual in the past. Who knows? Well, here's another message that was sent, and we'll continue to share these as they're sent, hoping with the intent in a way, hopefully, that it'll help us to appreciate the challenges that some may have relative to the unwillingness to engage in public discussion. Says, with respect to employer, may we define employer in the context of hiring the business owners, partners, or government, those on behalf of the Kimani people. There are many Kimanians that experience that same fear of leaving a job as work permit holders and also know that going to different jobs might never be a choice. So Kimanians also stay in toxic work environments. But when seeking jobs, the quote-unquote employer is really the HR department in tandem with the respective department to make selection, and this is where preferences are made. How many departments have the same nationality or / social groups? How many new employees are same nationality as the HR managers? Just doing casual research based on some of the existing government departments, perhaps even fewer private sector firms, and see what you come up with. Now, that was shared with us, and we can share with you that many individuals have questioned the notion that for many people they feel that there isn't a fair representation or when it comes to hiring, and not just the vetting of qualifications, the granting of interviews, and sometimes it's as if the employer, either consciously or otherwise, are hiring people based on perceptions and preferences as opposed to professionalism and qualifications. Now, what does that mean for us? Well, if we'll take the census and we go back to the minister responsible, Mr. Saunders, as the press briefing was being had, sharing that he's hoping that in the hiring practices that the concerns being expressed by some, and as evidenced in the census data, that the disparity in pay, for instance, isn't anything other than a built-in qualifications. But as he shared, the initial sort of cursory view could, potentially lead you to ask other questions, that there may be other intervening factors. I think this diplomacy and political acumen was sufficient that he said, I'm only looking at what presents itself and not insinuating anything else. No, there are these, things that unconsciously occur within our actions, only for it to be addressed or when it's acknowledged. I think that could be one of the challenges that we have in a society. Not just the lack of communication, but the unwillingness sometimes to look deliberately, directly, and consciously at what is before us, and not assume that everybody understands what it is, that everyone thinks, well, it's nothing to do with anything other than just, innocent, undertaking. Well, many will know, many subscribe to the notion that it's easier to ask forgiveness than permission. So too, it may be that for some, if people do not ask and question, they may feel they can continue with the status quo. Let's pause. Let's take that short break. When we come back, let's ask some of the questions. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Subway's giving you flavor around the clock with the new Chicken Squad sandwich options. Try the classic chicken and bacon ranch, the sweet and savory barbecue chicken, or the chicken cordon bleu. 3 new appetizing and delicious sub options that you can also make into a wrap. The Chicken Squad is available at Subway for only a limited time. Subway, giving you something to cluck about.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
I love this bar.
Coming up this Friday night, August 19th, to South Coast Bar and Grill in Breakers for the 4th annual Cayman Night. Live entertainment will be by a host of local musicians, including Rexy and the Impulse Band. You don't want to miss this exciting fete, playing soca, calypso, merengue, country, soul, and reggae music live with a host of local musicians, including Rexy and the Impulse Band and DJ Archie from Unit Force Disco. Admission is by donations at the door. Music starts 8 p.m. until 2 a.m. this Friday, August 19th at South Coast Bar and Grill. Proceeds will be donated to all primary schools to assist with the purchase of musical instruments.
The Workforce Opportunities and Residence Cayman, otherwise known as WORK, has their customer care team at the Cayman Brac office today until August 19th to assist customers in using WORK online services, including Jobs Cayman registration and portal payments. Applications may now be uploaded at the time of payment. This new feature offers better efficiency and a more concise way of submitting and paying for applications. Contact WORK Cayman Brac Customer Care at 244-4416 for more information on the training opportunities in Cayman Brac. Email work@gov.ky, that's WORC@gov.ky, or visit www.worc.ky.
Find out about all the community happenings from nonprofit, community fundraisers, church events, and more with Radio Cayman's Community Bulletin Board 3 times daily. Don't be the one to miss out on the latest information for events taking place every day on all 3 islands. Radio Cayman's Bulletin Board, brought to you by UCCI. Visit www.ucci.edu.ky. Choose your dream and blaze your trail today.
And by GNC, conveniently located in Queens Court, 7 Mile Beach and Country Corner. GNC, more than sports, all fitness, mind and body.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for sharing with us. A few minutes left of today's program as we invite you to be a part of the discussion. 8949-8237, 1-800-534-8255. Or you can WhatsApp 925-3261 and share your thoughts with us. You know, as I was listening earlier to our students, whether they're just in their first year of university, whether they're just about to embark on their university studies, or whether they've graduated and thinking about next steps, or whether they're midpoint in their 2 or 3 year program of study, I think what's evident is that 1, they want to participate. 2, they not only deserve, but they also desire the nurturing and encouragement, the mentoring of us, not just their parents and teachers, but the wider community. And it does not, in any shape, form, or fashion mean that they're not capable nor competent. It just means that in order for us to ensure a better outcome, we need to collaborate with them. They always, I think, as young people, are willing to step up. But think of yourself, even as an adult, if you don't feel supported, if you don't feel safe in your environment, if you don't feel that someone has your back, you may be a little bit less inclined to step up. Seeing the others who do sometimes not only get maligned and ostracized, but get castigated and relegated to the back burner. Now, would you want that at age 40? Or, probably not. Well, what if you're 14 or 18 or 24? Even less so, because there you feel that, well, where's the support? So let's draw alongside prospective employers, but also as fellow citizens in our country. How do we help? And the problem perhaps can be compounded when that young person feeling marginalized withdraws, maybe physically from the society. Options because of other heritage and nationality to travel elsewhere, perhaps invitations to remain where they are because of that skill set that they offer. But what if they withdraw even more so and remain within a society but not actively, constructively, positively participating? Or worse yet, they're being targeted and feeling as if they are, have a little sense of hope, and that sense of despair sets in. Now, can you imagine that ambitious individual who probably through education and home life being nurtured and told, the future is yours, promise and potential is there, but then the reality sets in that the prospect of home ownership, the potential for a job, not just upward mobility, but the notion that even with education you won't get the experience, the exposure, you won't get the opportunity, then they may say, well, does it really make sense to make that sacrifice? Well, to that young person and to that parent, just remind them that it does make sense, and let us ensure that we are there to help them. We'll hold them accountable, but we accept that they'll be responsible. But it's for us to make sure that we stand in the gap for them and with them, and go before them sometimes, stand behind to shore them up, but ensure that we're not only their protectors and providers, but we're their biggest advocates and champions as we cheerlead and celebrate their success and give them a sense that they are truly, truly worth. And that's why we invest in them. We want them to know their value. Hey, give us a shout and share a thought. 949-8037 or toll free with the compliments of Flo. 1-800-534-8255 or WhatsApp 925-3261. I'll share with you that if you did not get a chance on Monday or today to listen to Mr. Art and his guest on For the Record, to go back and have a listen, attentive, active listener with the desire to hear and understand what was being shared, and to see how you can be encouraged to step up and to appreciate that perhaps for some the objective is to make sure that the agenda reflects their personal ambitions and expectations. And when I say they, I mean all of us, voter and non-voter alike. Those who have been here for a short time and those who have been here for a little bit longer. And then recognize too that if you are not involved and if you're not sufficiently informed, then your involvement may not be as inclusive nor as invaluable as possible. So by hearing, understanding, by listening and doing, we can make a better, a more positive, profound contribution. And the beauty of this country is that our policymakers, the people that we refer to in some jurisdictions as the movers and the shakers, are our neighbors, our friends. At least we know that they're probably somewhat more accessible, at least for now, than they are in other jurisdictions. How do we use that access? Is it just to get today's bread, or is it that we're getting the skill sets that we can bake our own bread, and more importantly, use that knowledge to feed and serve others? Not everybody's intent. And again, as we listen, perhaps we'll come away with a greater sense of discerning. 8949-8037. Toll free with the kind compliments of Flow at 1-800-534-8255 or WhatsApp 925-3261. And as we almost get ready to go back to school, for some, teacher, parent, and student alike, excitement for the new school year. Some with a great sense of anxiety and, wow, the summer's over already. Well, what are we going to do to make this next, academic year even better? Understanding that our children may still have a great hesitancy and reservation. They may still need to get adjusted. They may labor under some conditioning that perhaps creates in them a sense of trepidation. Let's appreciate how they may respond. And to the parent, likewise. Now, it doesn't mean if it's the school for the first time. It doesn't mean that they go into university or tertiary studies. It may mean moving from one grade or 1 year to the next within the same school. It could be, going to the next grade, but in another school. It could be going to a completely new school because now you entering high school, as it were. Change for some of us can be more debilitating than we recognize. Change may be the only constant, we're reminded, but it isn't always embraced. But I think we need to remember that and encourage that we can endure. And if there is a shared ethos, we may see that success, not just the academic success, because a subject has been successfully passed and you got the grade that you were hoping for and anticipated, or the grade that at least says, well, you've been successful. But success in the sense that you gain a greater sense of confidence, and you've instilled, within your ethos that you are, worthy of enjoying that success. Well, I invite you to have some final thoughts if you want. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255, or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Perhaps at a future date, as we look more closely at the census data, and as we're hearing, many public pundits share their thoughts, I'll invite you to have a look at it. If you are able to get a physical copy, because that's your preference, well, perhaps do so. If it's your preference and you want to print it on your own, do so. But it's available electronically on www.eso.ky, and look at it. It is, perhaps an informative document that may get us to a place where we're willing to have conversations. We may be able to look at it and confirm some of the things that we suspected. It may actually cause us to have a lot of questions. It may ask for some of us, well, can you rethink your thought process? It may even cause some of us to look at this in a way that questions, well, really, is that accurate? Is that really the true, reflection? And then you have to consider your perception. Well, come back tomorrow for more Talk Today, right after the midday news and midday meditation. Again, I direct you to our YouTube channel, not just to look at our programming, but have some consideration and look at Monday and today's For the Record with Mr. Art as our political leadership were his guests, and maybe you'll come away with a sense of being better informed. Have a wonderful, safe, productive rest of the day. May the night bring rest and rejuvenation, and may tomorrow present you with enthusiasm and industry that you feel like you can go about and make a very positive contribution. Until then, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sunday